I had to make this video because 78% of the people I polled got it wrong. And it all started when Rob Manfred decided to remove Pete Rose from the permanently ineligible list just the other week. And I put out a poll asking whether Pete Rose should be in the Hall of Fame, and overwhelmingly people said yes, and I totally agree with this. Pete Rose is an amazing, amazing baseball player. He deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. But in kind of a cheeky manner, I asked this poll. I said, who is the better hitter, Pete Rose or Wade Boggs? Growing up in Boston, I knew how great Wade Boggs was, and I thought this was kind of an easy question, and I was shocked to see 78% of people say Pete Rose. In fact, one comment even said, it's no contest, Pete is the best hitter of all time. Now, I'm sure this commenter meant best, but let's go through it. So, as you probably know, Pete Rose was the NL Rookie of the Year in 1963. 16-time All-Star, 7-time National League hits leader, 3-time NL batting champion, 2-time Golden Glove winner, MVP in 1973, 3-time World Series champion. He has his 44-game hit streak, which is still phenomenal, and has the all-time record for hits of 4,256. But as you'll see, Pete Rose also holds the record for the most games played, the most at-bats, the most hits, the most singles, the most hits by a switch hitter, the most seasons playing in 100 or more games, which was 23 seasons, the most seasons with 200 plus hits, and the most 500 plus consecutive game streaks. So let's go through. How good was Wade Boggs? Well, fortunately, StatHead Baseball made this really easy for me to put together. Overall wins above replacement, if you're into WAR, it's no contest. Wade Boggs 91.4 versus Pete Rose's 79.6. And you can see Pete Rose played in over 1,000 games more than Wade Boggs. So it's not surprising to see that Pete Rose has more hits and so forth. He just had 5,000 more plate appearances. But when you look at when someone was up to bat, who was the better hitter? Hands down, it's Wade Boggs. With a career batting average of 328, a 415 on base percentage, 443 slugging, 858 on base plus slugging compared to Pete Rose's numbers. Now, Pete Rose is a phenomenal player, like I said, and he belongs in the Hall of Fame. But to me, this was just a straight up no-brainer that most people got wrong. Wade Boggs had 5 batting titles compared to Pete Rose's 3, and he was an 8-time Silver Slugger. If you're into WAR, which is the wins above replacement, you can see that Wade Boggs had 6 seasons better than Pete Rose's best season ever. But let's look at what that means. These are the 6 best seasons for each hitter based on OPS plus. And I don't want to get into all the details of that, but I felt like it was the most fair metric to pull these together. So the first thing I want to point out, when you look at Pete Rose here on the bottom, Pete Rose never hit over 350 in a single season. And Wade Boggs did it 5 times. So Wade Boggs hit 363, 366, 357, 368, 361, and Pete Rose's best year was 348. Now it's not all just about batting average. So on base percentage and drawing walks, you can see Wade Boggs led the league these 6 years, whereas Pete Rose only led it once. And then Wade Boggs even led the league in on base plus slugging for 2 years. Wade Boggs also led the league in total WAR, wins above replacement 3 times, which means he was literally the most valuable baseball player in the whole league for those 3 seasons, which Pete Rose has never done. And when you look at a graph like this is their career accumulation of WAR, and you can see Pete Rose started earlier and played a lot longer than Wade Boggs, as we mentioned. Wade Boggs' first full season wasn't until he was 25 years old. But when you look at the slope of the lines here, Wade Boggs was straight out a better hitter than Pete Rose, and that's why his wins above replacement got to be so high, so fast. In fact, even with Pete Rose's extra seasons, he was never able to catch up to what Wade Boggs did in his career. In summary, I want to share a quote from Tim Ward, who actually answered this on Reddit. Wade Boggs is the best hitter between Wade Boggs and Pete Rose, and it's not close. Boggs' career WAR, which we talked about, is higher than Pete Rose's, even though Rose had more than 5,000 at-bats than Boggs. You got their career slash lines here. Boggs had 5 seasons where he hit more than 350. Boggs won 5 batting titles, led the league in on-base percentage 6 times, led the league in on-base plus OPS twice. Rose had 3 batting titles, led the league in on-base percentage twice, and never led in OPS. Rose racked up his career total because he had a very long career and stayed healthy, and even for the end of his career, he really wasn't as good. Boggs didn't play a full season until he was 25. In his final season at 41, he still hit 301. Comparing Wade Boggs and Tony Gwynn might be more interesting comparison because Pete Rose simply wasn't in Wade Boggs' league as a hitter. Now, I know there's one more X factor here, so I'm not sure. Quote, "I played the game one way. I gave it everything I had. It doesn't take any ability to hustle." And people love that. And that came from Wade Boggs. So Charlie Hustle himself didn't say this. That's how Wade Boggs, who was one of the hardest nosed players that I had the privilege of growing up to see, and I want to make this video to defend his legacy for the 78% of you that got it wrong, and congratulations to the 22% of you who got it right. Make sure you stay tuned and watch one of these other videos next because YouTube says you're going to love it.